You don't need goals, you need systems. And I'm going to show you this. I don't really have a plan, so I'm going to kind of wing it. But I have an idea of what I want to talk about today, and we're going to kind of just go with it. So essentially, this is you, and this is your goal. And what should happen in theory, and what we all assume is that, we have like a line kind of like getting there to our goal, and eventually you get there with some failures. That's what we hope in anything, in fitness, in life, and in work, and whatnot. But the truth is that a lot of the time to get your goal, sometimes it might look like this, or you'll have a path where you actually go a little bit backwards first before you kind of get your way to your goal. And a lot of times, actually, what happens is actually people will get to their goal, they'll go back to where they started, and then they'll go back to their goal again. My art is absolutely terrible. I'm trying to make a point here and illustrate with visuals, but you kind of get the point. Linear, it's never linear. From A to B to get to your goal, things are never linear. I'm going to delete this because it's ruining my thought process. I'm going to keep one line there. So it's never linear, it's never straight. You don't know how you get there. And I think the thought process of getting between you and your goal is taught maybe differently, or the way I coach it is a slightly different perspective, and I want to talk more about it. For some reason, he likes to drink every time I make a video. Are you done? This is the thing. You have a goal, and that goal, whatever it might be weight loss, it might be getting a promotion at work, it might be fitness. Of course, I'm all about content, fitness, and health, and of course, transformation. So I'm going to try and do as best as I can to relay the information from my head in hopefully a decent enough format that it makes sense here. But you have to become that goal. You have to become that person and that identity to get you to your goal. So if your goal is some 10 kg of fat loss, feeling stronger, moving better, not worrying about calories. Let's say that's your goal. That's the person you want to become, right? Let me see on screen. There we go, on screen. Okay, so you're someone. I'm going to format this because it's going to eat my OCD up. So you want to 10 kilos of fat loss, you want to feel stronger, you want to move better, and not worry about calories. So what does that person have that you do not? How do they think, and how do they approach their daily life, their habits, their routines, their sleep, their all these things? So if we write them down, habits, routines, their exercise, the sleep, can't spell, I'm sorry, the recovery, social events, family, what else? Everything else that goes into it, right? Let's see. See, I'm winging these. I'm just gonna go with this. I'm making these videos, and eventually I'll get better and I'll progress with this. But it'll be interesting to see how they are. Hi, Goose. Hi, Goose. So that person, what do their habits, their routines, their exercise, what does their sleep look like? What does their recovery look like? Their social events, their family, the peer pressure, the environment, because people at work will question you as soon as you make habits and change routines. Everything else, right? So how does that work? How does that work in the head? The dog is going crazy. So you have to look at your end goal and identify those things, kind of picture that, and then become that person. So if that person who's lost 10 kilos has a habit of fasting, that works for them, or has a habit of snacking less, that is their habit. Their routines, are they the kind of person that go to the gym in the morning? That is their routine, because you might have to become the person. So you might hate morning workouts and they suck, but if that is the only time you have that is realistic for you to do a workout, because you make excuses in the evening because you're tired, you're busy with occasions, kids, school, whatnot, then your routine has to be, I work out in the morning. That is the person that gets their goal. That's their routines. The exercise, the person that gets their goal, they probably lift weights, resistance training, they work out, or they do some sort of fitness. So what are their exercise goals look like, and how do they do it? They regularly lift weights and they make time for it, they hate it, it's boring and consistent, then you have to be that person. The sleep, they probably get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, not 5, and definitely not 10, and then they go to work. So, are you doom scrolling? Are you staying up late? Are you filling your life with noise and distractions that stops you from getting your sleep? With the recovery, it kind of ties in because recovery is important because you might stay out too late, you might work too late, because it all kind of works together. Same with the social events and family. Because if you have social events on the weekends that screw up your recovery and sleep, is it worth it to stay there for the extra glass of wine, for the extra hour to ruin, to miss the last train, to screw up your to screw up your recovery and sleep? Is it really worth it? Is what I'm asking. Is it short-term gratification or peer pressure, or is it long-term gratification that is really off-putting because you're not getting the short-term dopamine? Do you know what I mean? Family is a big one. Now, I do not have much of that in terms of like around my life, so it doesn't play much of effect in terms of dinners and stuff like that, and that's fine. I've built my life around it. But clients, people come to me, they say, my family guilt trip me. They've got family routines, habits, and all these things. And that's true, but you're also a grown up that is building his or her own family. You can't say no. You don't have to let people guilt trip you into saying you need one more extra slice of cake or whatever it might be, or just because you're looking after the way you're exercising or you're eating, and they're not. They shouldn't have to guilt trip you, or they shouldn't be able to guilt trip you into not sticking to your goals and being consistent. So you have to identify where your goal is and where you want to get to, and then you build a system based on these habits and routines, and you visualize the person you want to be. What does that person do? And you become that person.